going through the country of Israel. And let me tell you what, that is a phenomenal trip. If you ever get the opportunity to go to Israel, it is an incredible trip. I highly recommend it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. And on the back end of that, we hit some of the sites in London. And there's some pretty cool stuff in London as well. And to top it all off, we ended up in the great state of Alabama. So we spent some time there, and now we are back home, and I am completely exhausted, but I am really glad to be here with you today to talk about a few things that I think are kind of important. So I've got some exciting news to share about the portfolio on a year-to-date basis. You'll see that in a little bit. And I've got some big news from a personal perspective that I'll share with you later in the video, but it's really going to be more of a tease because I'm going to do an entire video on that. But today we're going to look at the portfolio as it performed over the last month since I've been gone. We're going to not only look at the performance of the portfolio, but each individual holding. So you'll get to see each holding that's in my portfolio and how it performed over the past month. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Hey guys, Kevin Burgess back again with another video. Today I want to update you on the last month's performance for my portfolio. I've been gone for quite a while, so I thought I would give you just the whole month all at once. You can see what the performance has been, not only of the portfolio on a weekly and a year-to-date basis, but also each individual stock within the portfolio. I'll show you using Seeking Alpha what the performance has been for the last month. Now, you know, one of the big things for me is transparency, so I'm going to show you every investment in my portfolio. And I do this not because I want you to invest in the stocks that I invest in. That's not the purpose of this. The stocks that I've selected are selected because they fit my portfolio. You will make selections for your portfolio that are unique for your situation. But the main thing for me is that you get to see what I'm doing so that it at least gives you another perspective on investing in dividend growth stocks. So I'm not an investing professional. I'm just an investor who wants to share with others what they're doing so that they can either decide, hey, that's the kind of stuff I want to do, or even not the stuff I want to do. So it gives you the opportunity to kind of get the flavor and sense for how somebody else invests. So on the agenda today, we're going to look at the portfolio, not only in total, but also by investment. I'm going to kind of round out with a few comments on what I think the benefits of a passive dividend growth investment strategy are based on my experience here over the last month. And while I would love to share with you all of the pictures and videos from Israel and London, I think I'm going to do that in a separate video. That way you can decide whether you're interested in seeing somebody's vacation videos or not. And then lastly, I've made a huge real estate purchase. And I'm going to mention that briefly in this video, but I'm going to make a separate video on that. And the reason I'm doing that is because while it certainly is a real estate investment, it's really an investment, not only a financial investment, but also an investment in building purpose. And one of the things I've learned about in my retirement is that if you don't have purpose, then I'm going to struggle having fulfillment in my retirement years. So I want to share all of that on a separate video. I think you're going to enjoy that. I'm looking forward to that. Got some great pictures of the other real estate property. So we're going to do that in a separate video as well. So today it's going to be performance of the portfolio, not only overall, but individual stocks. And then a little bit of discussion on the benefits of a passive dividend growth portfolio. So with that, let's get started. Okay, since it's been a while, let's get reoriented to the last update that I did on October the 28th. Year to date, we were down 4.5% compared to the S&P being down 18.7%. So that's kind of where we left on the trip. Let's look at each week now moving forward. November the 4th, you can see that our portfolio went down 0.7% and the S&P went down 3.8%. Pretty big move on the S&P. The result of that is 5.2% down for the portfolio and 21% down in the S&P. And you'll notice that we got $946.63 in dividends for the week of November 4th. So while I was halfway around the world, not thinking about the stock market, these precious divvies just kept coming in. Now, moving on to November 11th, you can see the portfolio went up 4.8%, while the S&P 500 went up 6.4%. So overall, on a year-to-date basis, at the end of November the 11th, we were 0.2% down and 16.8% down for the S&P 500. So comparatively speaking, we're 16.6% better than the S&P 500, but still down year to date by 0.2%. Now, moving on to November the 18th, you can see that for the week, we were down 0.5%. S&P was down 0.7%. So overall, we were down 0.7% in the portfolio, while the S&P 500 was down 17.3%. But then comes Thanksgiving week, and we have a great week, which is we were up 1.6% in the portfolio. The S&P 500 was up 1.5%, but check it out. For a year-to-date basis, we are now positive by 1.1% in all three accounts. You'll notice that the dividend growth account still is a little bit off. It's 0.7% down for the year. But anyway, overall, 1.1% up, and while the S&P 500 is 16.1% down. So really stoked about that. And then also, if you add the dividends into the return, we end up with a 4.2% total return year to date in these accounts. So I don't think we can ask for much better than that, especially when the market is treating us as badly as it has this year. Me being up 1.1%, I'm really, really happy with. Now let's back up a bit. Going back to November 4th, you see we have dividends of $946.63. In the next week, November the 11th, we had $132 roughly of dividends. Then in the week of November 18th, we had $1,285 in dividends. And then the week of November 25th, just a mere $1.74 from Starbucks in the dividend snowball account. So if I add all of that up, I got $1,285 plus $131 plus $946.63. That's about $2,350 in dividends for the month. So while I was away on the other side of the world, not thinking about my investments, I still brought dividends in $2,350 or so. That's the difference between passive income and active income. And to make that a little more clear, let's move on to our options portfolio. Now, in the options portfolio, I decided that since I was not going to have access to my brokerage account, that I would get out of all of my transactions. I actually just let them lapse. And so you can see that for the week of 11/4, I had just a little bit left over. So got $65 in the week of 11/4. But 11/11, 11/18, 11/25, there was nothing there. So that's a big difference between what a passive portfolio will do versus an active portfolio. In order for me to make money in options, I pretty much have to be active. I've got to be selecting stocks. I've got to be selecting whether I'm going to, sell covered calls or sell puts, and which companies I'm going to do that with. So while I was away, I decided that I didn't want to do that. That wasn't top of mind for me. So I got out of the business for that month. And you can see that I didn't make much money at all in the options account. Whereas in my stock account, I made about $2,350 in dividends that kept rolling in, even though I didn't participate at all in managing the account. So what's the point of that? The point of that is that while I enjoy the options account, it's really going to be more of a hobby for me than it is going to be an investment portfolio. So my investment portfolio is going to stay as dividend growth investing, and I'm going to just do a little option stuff on the side just to keep things a little bit spicy. But moving forward, my base investments are going to be dividend growth investments. Now, as promised, let's go through my entire portfolio. If you follow me for a while, you know that I have three portfolios. One is a dividend growth portfolio, one's a dividend income portfolio, and one's a dividend snowball portfolio. So let's start with the growth portfolio. I'm going to sort these. And since I've been gone for about a month, let's look at the 1 month performance here. I'm going to sort these in descending order. So you'll see that air products and chemicals is up 23% in the last month. That's really cool. And so Aflac is also up 17%. Atmos Energy is up 15%, as well as T. Rowe Price. SOX, which is an ETF of chip companies, it's up 14%. Texas Instruments is up 9%. Lowe's is up almost 9%. Whirlpool's up 8.5%. EOG's up 8%. And you can see, I won't read all of these to you, but you can see that there's been some nice gains in all of the portfolio, except for two stocks in the growth portfolio, which is Microsoft and Apple. Microsoft went down about a 1.25%, while Apple went down almost 3%. So now let's take a look at the income portfolio. In the income portfolio, we have Pinnacle West, went up 16.25% for the month, which is really good. We already saw T. Rowe Price. I happen to have T. Rowe in both portfolios. That's why it shows up here. Ben, which is Franklin Resources, went up 14% for the month. IBM was up 11.6% on the month, while Philip Morris was up 11%. Whirlpool, we've already talked about, 8.5%. AT&T was up 8%. Hess Midstream was up almost 8%. Verizon was up 7%. Fidelity National Financial was up almost 7%. So you can see we've had some pretty decent gains. The only loser for the month in this portfolio here is Altria Group. They went down about 2.2%. So overall, a really good month in these portfolios. Now let's take a look at the dividend snowball portfolio. As you know, this is a small portfolio I have where I put $50 a week in, but while I was gone, I didn't put anything in. It just sat where it is. But you'll see that Starbucks went up about 16.8%. SOX, we've already talked about, went up 14%. SCHD, which is an ETF that has a pretty nice dividend payout, went up 8.85%. Microsoft went down 1.25%, and Google down 6.7% for the month. So the benefit of having a passive growth dividend portfolio is that regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of how much time you have to spend on it, it continues to provide dividends for passive income. And as you know, that's really our goal, is to have enough passive income so that we can retire and enjoy life, having the purpose that we want to have for our lives. So as I said earlier, I've got a couple of videos that I'm going to do. One is an update on the Israel and London trip. The second one is about this huge real estate investment that I've made. So I'm looking forward to both of those, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next video.